Hi everyone, and welcome to the Unyp Podcast. And right now I'm here with Juwana Jenkins. Hi, Ms. Jenkins. How are you?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Peter.
You are a professor at the University of New York in Prague, but I have an important question of how did you actually end up in Prague and here at Unyp?
Yeah, it was a trip around the world. So it really started when I was in 5th grade. And I heard the story of Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And from that moment, I knew I wanted to live abroad. And I graduated university in 94, January. And by 95, I graduated in January 94. And by July 94, I was teaching in Seoul, South Korea. And I got a Fulbright.
South Korea.
Yeah, I got a Fulbright fellowship, and I was teaching at a girls' high school, English. And then in 95, I was teaching at the equivalent of their Harvard, Seoul National University. And so from 1995 is when I started teaching university. And after 3 years there, I went, it's really nice living in Korea and Asia, but this experience that I have of teaching university and traveling in a region, I want to repeat that. So September 1st, 1998, no, August 1st, 1998, I packed up my things from Seoul, South Korea, hopped on the Trans-Siberian, and I got on at Khabarovsk, and I spent the month between my 2 visas traveling across Russia through Siberia, past Ulan-Ude and Lake Baikal and Moscow, and I flew into Prague on September 1st, 1998 from St. Petersburg.
Oh my God.
I was planning to repeat what happened in Korea, which was I was going to sign a 1-year contract, and then I was going to travel the region, and then I would say, okay, now it's time to move someplace else. And I was going to go to Western Europe and Africa and South America, and then I was going to finally settle in the United States to start a real life. But by November 1998, I realized that I was in love with Prague, its beauty, its possibilities, and I've been here now 24 years after a 1-year contract, and this year marks 15 years with Unyp.
Oh my God, that's you were not joking when you said it's a it's a journey.
Yeah.
And how was your time here in Prague? What made you fall in love with the city?
I got lost. I was supposed to have a meeting downtown, and there was no Google Maps. I couldn't navigate the streets. I'll never forget getting off at Narodní Třída and going through the small streets of like Husova and all those streets and just getting lost. And I remember going down Majzalova, and by the time I went out, I want to say it was Kaprova, and I got to the end where there was the Rudolfinum. I just looked up and I just went, this looks like me. This feels like me. I want to build a life here. And that was about 2 months after I arrived here. So what started as curiosity turned into a lifelong commitment. If I wasn't going to travel my way around the rest of the world, then I was going to build the life of my dreams here.
That is amazing, honestly. You planning to stay here, or is it like you want to continue your journey in the future?
That's the thing I always say. If I found a place that gave me all the advantages of Prague, plus, then I would consider leaving. But I have a wonderful life here, and until I could have a better life someplace else, I have no intentions of leaving. I can always hop on a plane, and I can always travel. But I like being centrally located. I can go to the west and see my family, or I can go to the east and go back to Asia. I can go north and play concerts in Scandinavia, or I can go south and discover Africa, which I really don't know that well.
It's true that Prague is like a good city to just travel around, even like Europe and the world. Yeah. I know many exchange students then come here, and they try to go to Budapest. Is a place to go. I think maybe Krakow, maybe someone goes to Cracovia. Yeah.
I actually, just like I teach first semester students for Introduction University Studies, I actually work with the Center for Global Engagement. And before the regular semester starts, I teach the orientation course for the exchange and Erasmus students. And that's one of the first things I do in the 3-day program. Here's the academic schedule. You only have 15 weeks. So besides the knowledge in the classrooms, what type of experiences do you want to have? Because you've chosen Prague, the heart of Europe. What do you want to see in Prague? What do you want to see in the Czech Republic? What do you want to see in the region? Here are the resources I would use to go. Now organize your time accordingly.
Now you have courses in which you work with many times first-year students or exchange students. Mm-hmm. I had a course with you called University Studies.
Yeah.
You're the only teacher of that course?
Yes,
or?
I am. I teach all the sections. Yes, so I have to coordinate with me, myself, and I to make sure that it's consistent.
How many classes there per semester? Is that like 3, 4, or?
My friend, during the fall semester, normally there are 7 sections of this 1-hour course.
7?
Last semester, there were 10 sections of this 1-hour course. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of teaching the same thing in the same week.
The thing about it is that I am a teacher because I am a lover of learning, and I consider myself a student, and I say to the students, we're all students. Mm-hmm. We're just in different grades at different levels. And like I said, I started teaching, it's now 28 years ago. And my goal at this point is to create the conditions so that I learn something from the students. If I teach something 10 times in the fall and 2 times in the spring, what can I do so that a student says something that makes me think and expands my understanding so that I can pass that on to the next section, the next semester?
What do you see as like the main struggle or the main problem that students encounter when actually like going to university education and going to university? Because when you're a high school student, it's just a bit of a different experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
And students might struggle when they actually become university students and have to change the way they've done things before and have to adjust. What do you think is the main struggle they usually have?
I think the main struggle they have is the main struggle that we all have as learners, which is not knowing that we don't know. And so being a successful student means I've graduated from high school. I'm now ready for university because that's what the paper says. And then you realize that it's a whole different ballgame. Most people are going into an educational system. It's a different educational system in a different language. For many, it's in a different country. And then on top of it, it's a different city. Everybody goes through freshman shock. Everybody does, because it's transition from high school to university. But then you add in all the other elements of our international community, and it's a real shock. Even if they've got the academics down, then they may not know how to deal with their classmates, or they may not know how to deal with the Czech culture or navigating a whole nother language. So there are a number of challenges our students are facing all at the same time, beyond the normal freshman challenges.
Do you think that there's a way to make it easier for you?
Yeah. Well, do you remember what year was your first year?
No, my first year was the 2020 fall when we went.
2020. Okay, so it wasn't that long ago. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, the big thing about it now is, as you probably know, at the end of the semester, I asked students, what can we do to make this better? And I just had this conversation yesterday. I was talking with a sociologist. He'll be on faculty next semester. We're talking about learning from failure, because he covers learning from failure for business incubators. And I said, oh, that's really exciting, because I cover learning from failure with my students. He's like, you do? Oh, that's awesome. And I was talking to a mentor and a coach for dinner Sunday night. So these are 2 conversations, one Sunday night, one Monday night. We're all talking about failure. And the conversation is, well, when should people learn about failure? How soon should they know? So to make it easier, having the understanding that failure is a part of the learning process. If you're not failing, you're not challenging yourself to move outside of your comfort zone. You're not identifying your limits and then moving beyond them. And because of the educational systems that exist, and I come from one of them, failure was, for me, a sense of identity. I was a failure because I failed. And it's only been through working to find other educational approaches. Like, I'm sure you remember when we covered the fixed versus growth mindset, and realizing that there's a different way of seeing failure. It can be a lesson, it can be empowering, it can be motivating, but it doesn't define who you are as a person. It can define a moment, and what you do with that moment is an indication of your ability at that point in time. But it doesn't have to be the end all to be all about your potential.
It's true that when you start studying at university and you encounter moments when you actually do not meet the expectations that you have from yourself, and you fail, it might bring you a lot of pressure and stress because you think that it's going to get worse and worse during the studies. And the worst thing that probably can happen to you is like happening it very early on, the first exam. It lowers your confidence, it lowers your hope that this is going to be the study. And I know many of my friends from high school that went to university and they eventually quit. Because, and most of them during the first 2 semesters, because they were not able to cope with the amount of stress and pressure they have from the studies. So it's true that sometimes we need to accept that we fail. But being a student it can be stressful. Yesterday I had after a very long time, I'm gonna be honest, yesterday I had quite a stressful day. And it was a day in which it's after midterms. It's a time when you have more writing assignments, presentations, etc. And that day, it seemed that everything fell on me, that everything I had to do was that day. And it was also things outside of school. It was because at 20 years of age, you don't have only the school, which you maybe had in high school. It was the only struggle you had. But now you have to also struggle about other things. When all of that fails at the same time, it's not an easy thing to cope with. But maybe I would like to ask you, maybe for the future, because I somehow just cope with it by, taking a break and just cooking and just thinking about other things. But maybe do you have like something that you would advise students to do if they have that much stuff that they think they cannot take it anymore?
This is going back to your question of how would I make things easier for students. And one of the things I do in my approach as a teacher is to teach all the things I wish that I had been taught in university. And the challenge is that you need the life context and experience to understand why it's important to care, learn, and master these skills. So the first thing is about time management. And with the syllabi, in the situation that you gave, how far is the advance notice, not just for your circumstance, but for all of our circumstances? It's a paper and a presentation today, but it's going to be a tender and a bid and a project tomorrow. And instead of it being just for you, it's going to be for your wife, your kids, your company, your peers, your team, and your clients. Exactly what you're going through right now, you will continue to go through this for the rest of your life. So our job, I believe, here at Unyp is educating tomorrow's leaders to deal with the pressures today, to prepare them for the challenges tomorrow. Building up the skills and the resilience so that when you get to that time in the future, it will fall on you again, but you will have had enough experience and confidence that you will stop and cook and say, I've gotten through it before. I will get through it this time. How to do that? Number one, it's about the whole time management and scheduling. Sitting down, looking at the commitments and going, ooh, I see that I've got a packed day this day. I know I'm going to have to manage that leading up to it. This is my ideal through line to deal with the 5 commitments I'm going to have in 6 weeks' time, because I know that day is going to be a hard day. And sitting down to create the best case scenario. And every time you don't do what you say you're going to do, you have to accept responsibility that you're making that day harder for yourself. But if your mom's in the hospital, that comes first. So because you set up your schedule and you know your priorities, when you slip from your schedule, you can take responsibility and know you did the right thing. You're able to accept it's going to be harder because you were there for your mom in the hospital that day. And that's how you work through it. But knowing 6 weeks in advance that you're going to have a hard day on the 5th day, you plan time to take breaks and rest and to renew and recharge. And I like that you said, I did cooking. I was wondering why Bill Gates washes the dishes. And it was actually from a massive open online course, a MOOC, How to Learn, where I learned something which has changed my life. There's focused thinking, where you're working hard on the project. And then there's diffuse thinking, when your brain is working behind the scenes to put the points together. That's the reason why in the shower you go, oh, okay, I got an idea, I know. That's the reason why you get up from sleep and you go, oh, I got it, eureka. That's why, because your subconscious is working behind the scenes. If you don't provide the time management for your time to do something different, like cook or go to the gym or take a walk or spend time with the people you love, you're not giving your brain that time to come to those understandings for you. So those are the things I would do to make it easier the next time, because there will be a next time.
Usually it doesn't happen to me because I'm kind of trying to time manage in a way that I know myself. And I know that I cannot do and I know some students do it, that they have this assignment or essay and they're able to go nonstop, 4 hours, just long, and just finish it. Yeah. I cannot do it. Right. I have to give myself breaks. I do something for 30 minutes. I give myself a break, then another 30 minutes. And I know also how my life is. And it's in a way that things happen very unpredictably. Oh. So all of a sudden somebody, texts you or something happens, somebody needs something, something's arranged, etc. So what I usually do, it didn't work this time, but usually works, is that I'm trying to say, okay, how much time do I need for this? Okay, so this essay, it's a longer one, it's like 3,000 words. I think in 2 days. One day I'll do research and the other day I'll write it. But in a time management schedule, in the schedule I have, I'm trying to prepare 3 or 4 days for it.
Nice, good. Buffer time, great.
That is the only way I can really do with it. But of course, during exam periods, it's more difficult because there's more things at once. But it usually works. But yesterday it was a tricky one because it was something, there happened too many things which I didn't prepare for. So the time I had was not sufficient. Right.
When you use your 3 to 4 day buffer period, do you start at the beginning of your 3 or 4 days, or do you start at the last 2?
No, that's a tricky one.
That's why I asked.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. That's why I have the time period so I can start a bit later. But
how do you think I know to ask? Because one of the things I've introduced in university studies is managing your procrastination by popular demand from this previous cohort, students saying we need help with this. And my personal area for growth is flexibility. And one of the 5 elements of flexibility is buffer time. And I'm absolutely the same way. That's the reason why when you said that, I'm like, I think I know where this is going. Because I'll create buffer time. I'll leave 15 minutes and then I'll leave the 5 minute, I'll hear the alarm go off and then I'll go, okay, I got 10 more minutes and then I'm late. So for me, it has really come, if I try something and I realize the way that I try it actually brings me more benefits, it brings me more peace, it brings me more joy, it brings me better rewards such as money or time or connections. And I go, oh, I've been making it unnecessarily hard on myself. I should really stop this behavior because this doesn't give me what I really want from life. It gives me results, but I can get better results doing something else. I think I'll try something else more consistently. And then, of course, I'm not perfect. I go back to the way I used to do things. And then I realize, this is really, why did I ever do it this way before? That other way is much better. I like that way better.
You're right. It's tough being a student, but it also teaches you a lot of things. It makes you prepared for the things that happen later in your life when you might not have the buffer zones that you have now, and you might not have the ability to say, I failed, but it's fine. When it happens, when you have a career, you might not have the space to fail, because it might be a matter of, maybe having a job or not. It's a tricky one. But maybe because you mentioned like educating tomorrow's leaders, what do you think is like the best way in which students can make sure that their studies are the best for their future careers? How do you think what they should do to make the most out of their studies to eventually invest in their futures?
To make the most out of their studies for the future, here are the things that come to my mind off the top of my head. Number one, you actually have to know what you want for your future. And I think a lot of students don't know when they come, but university can be a process of figuring it out. So that would be one of the ways to make the most. Figure out what you want to do by the time you leave, if you don't already know. If you don't already know, I would say the classes that you most enjoy, go to the office hours of the instructors. Find out what can be done in this field, this area more, and find out if that's the type of work you want to do. Find out about who you are. And you said, I know myself. And there's actually a quote from a famous Greek philosopher, which is know thyself. What I literally just came from teaching a course that's a partner for a seminar. It's a seminar component for an internship. The American exchange students do an internship while they study and talk about the elements academically with the internship at another university where I teach. I was literally today talking about global competency, which is the integration of your values and attitudes, plus your behavior, plus your skills. Those three things are what you need to do to consider how far you can go professionally, personally, and develop, and look for the right match for the organization that you want to be in, the place that reflects your values and attitudes, the place where people behave the way you want to behave in the future, to be surrounded by like-minded people who are going in the same place where you can contribute your skills and where you can develop your skills. Those three things. So maybe you don't have a name or an industry or position, but you can work on those three things, your values and attitudes, your behavior and skill, while at Unyp. And find out from your favorite professors and classes which organizations or work requires your values and attitudes, skills, and behavior. When you figure out the name of the industry and the name of the position, one of the things I do in the course at Unyp Professional Development is an informational interview. I was just talking to somebody about this who actually is in the MBA program. You find the people who have your dream job. Find them on LinkedIn. You're so fortunate to be a student. You are no threat whatsoever. You could even be a resource. Students who have taken my professional development course and done this activity have found mentors. They've found work for the summer. They've found internships by asking people, how did you get your position? And if you were to do it today, what advice would you give? Based on your industry knowledge, what would you recommend that I do? And then whatever they say, go do it. Go get the internship. Go get the experience. Make the contacts so that you immerse yourself in your future vision for your life today. That you get beyond the walls of Unyp and you start interacting with life teachers, the people who are living the life that you want to have. And you see how they talk, walk, what their values are, how they behave. And you start to get role models in your life so that you can become a role model in your life and get the entry-level position to become the leader you want to be in the future by looking at the leaders you see in front of you today. That's how you make the most of your education.
You mentioned internships, and it's actually a question I have for me personally, but I think for many students too. It's during your studies, right? You want to get internships, but you also want to earn money because you need it during the studies. Sometimes, for example, for me as an international relations student, sometimes it might be more difficult to find internships in my field, which are paid well enough that it would make sense. Now, I did several internships which were unpaid. I'm very happy about the experience. But of course, I was thinking, to which extent is it okay for me to, or maybe what is better for me is whether to go for maybe an internship in my field and gain experience in my field,
right?
Or if it's okay working somewhere for money without it being in my major, without it being for, you know, my future. I might be working in a cafe, in a pub, or doing a delivery driver or something that makes me money during my times as a student, so I can have a good student life.
Right.
Or is it better to sacrifice that income for that internship, which could be more beneficial for my future?
That's a great question. I appreciate you putting it that way. One of the things that has defined my professional life is when I was teaching an MBA program, a business communication course, and we were looking at the book, I think it was From Good to Great. And one of the principles about what makes a company great is that some live by the tyranny of the or, whereas the great companies live by the genius of the and. So when you say, do I do a paid job that's not in my field or an unpaid internship that's in my field, my question is shouting in my mind is, why do you have to choose between the two? Why can't you? And this is what happens. If you, and this is something that I do in my professional development course, you identify the place that reflects your values and attitudes. They have the behavior where you want to develop your skills. And you say, hi, I'm a student. I would like to work for you. What's an entry-level position that I can have? Period. You get your foot in the door. They see that you have those 3 elements for global competency, and you prove your value and your worth while getting paid, and you're making an entry into the organization in the field you want. So instead of working in a cafe, which doesn't necessarily directly relate to your field, you may not be working in exactly the position that you want in the future, but you are still getting paid in an organization where you can establish your name and get contacts in your field. So that's what I would recommend. Let it be very clear. I understand a lot of students have financial obligations. One of the students I work with this year, he says, listen, I'm supporting my family in another continent. I've already, before the first day of school, he said, I've already applied for a part-time position at Amazon. I just want to let you know, did I do the right thing? And I said, you are here to help benefit your family and take your family to the next level. Your goals and purpose for your study are very different from another person who has it all paid and does nothing but study. So we have different, just like we have priorities for our time, we have priority for our finances as well. So based on our priorities, we need to organize our time. So first priority would be paid in your field, in an entry-level position at an organization where you could learn something. The next thing would be, of course, unpaid in the field where you could learn something. I can't even say next, because money is so important, and I would never kid you. If you need the money, I would always go for the paid position. But if I had to choose between an unpaid internship or money from a job, I would choose money from a job in which you can demonstrate transferable skills, where you are demonstrating that you have organizational skills, leadership skills. Maybe there's some space for advancement. Maybe you're working in the cafe and you go from being I had this case with a student who was in professional development. He was working in a bar, but he demonstrated himself well that he was raised to a manager. And then from that manager position, he went on to another position. So how are you using where you are to get to the next level? But if you don't know where you want to go, how can you use the position you're in to get to the next level? Because you don't know what the next level is.
Well, that's going to be a big question for me in a couple months when I need to prepare, because currently I don't have a job. I do something occasionally, but for the summer. But I'll think about it, and probably it's time to get paid. You know, I need to. Also, you need the money for the activities that you want to do. You know, we were still in an age that we need to enjoy, you know, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I recommend in terms of the balance is to all students, I say, unless you have a financial situation where your survival depends on your working and your family's survival depends on your working, I would say take at least the first semester to focus on your schoolwork, to understand how university is different from high school, to establish whatever your academic goals are in terms of your GPA or your knowledge, and know that you've got that skill set. And then when you know you have that skill to do well at the level you desire, then the second semester, I would say, try and add the job to the mix on a part-time level. And then you're into the summer. Take a full-time job, preferably in your field, for the summer, and then come back the next semester. If from that year of experience you see you can handle the work plus school, do it again during the school year. But it doesn't make sense for people to pay all this money for a degree at Unyp and then do poorly in their grades because they're working if they did not need the money. They certainly need the experience. There's no question about that. Get experience as soon as possible, but not in a way that jeopardizes your future plans that are dependent upon a GPA. Some people don't have plans that need a high GPA. So, get your paper and go.
Just do something.
I mean, if you're paying for access to the knowledge, how much knowledge do you need in school? How much do you need outside of the classes? And then how much do you need from life? Everybody has to figure that out for him or herself.
I want to move a little from something that you teach to something that you also do, which is your music career.
Yes.
And I would like to ask, what does music mean to you?
Oh my goodness, yeah. What doesn't it mean to me? Music makes me a humble student because there is the sound I have in my head and there's the sound that I hear in my monitor. And until the sound I hear in my monitor is as good as the sound I hear in my head, I must work on myself. I must become a better person. I must develop skills. I must learn how to take myself to the next level, either with my teacher or without a teacher or with a consultant. But it's just that thing that keeps me moving forward, working on myself, developing myself. It's very personal for me, but it's personal in that I want to be able to be my best so that I can give my best, because I've met people who came up to me after a show and said, "Oh, you filled me with positive energy and I can continue living now." That is a very humbling gift to be able to give. I'm very honored that I have the privilege to have this gift. I am grateful for it, and so I want to do as best I can with it.
Just maybe to introduce who wouldn't know you, of course, sing, if I'm correct, blues and
that is correct.
Soul.
That is correct. Yeah. That's right. Mm-hmm.
And you perform, right?
Yes.
Do you perform like regularly, or is it more like once in a while, or do you do it often?
I just finished an 8 cities tour of the Czech Republic.
A tour?
Yeah, I just finished an 8 city tour of the Czech Republic. I was very happy that when the tour ended, before I woke up, my agent already offered me tour dates for 2024. And when I picked the dates, one of the dates was already booked for 2024. Another date I know has already been booked for 2024. Last fall, November, first week of December, I was on tour in Norway. I've toured Italy, Poland, Czech Republic, Norway, and I've performed in Germany and Latvia. I'm going to be doing a big band festival in Latvia, a festival in Belgium this summer. So I also do corporate events such as the 25th anniversary of Harper's Bazaar. I've performed for MasterCard at the Prague Castle. I've performed for Skoda at their event. So I do club events, I do corporate events, private corporate events, and then I do international music festivals across Europe.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So when I talk about time management and stress management and having goals for your life, I'm sharing based on what I've learned as someone who has moved halfway around the world and has had her own business now coming on 20 years and working with international agents and promoters and musicians and saying, this is what I wish somebody had taught me. Now I'm going to teach you.
You know what you're talking about. What sort of, like, because when you perform, your music, it's very energetic. It's filled with passion and energy. It's beautiful to listen to, you know, but what sort of energy do you also need from the crowd? Or is it okay for you if you just perform to a couple of businessmen just sitting and just watching? Or do you need them to react to your music too?
I'm fortunate that I perform in a number of ways that I understand what it is. And when it comes to performance, it starts and ends with you. And you can never get more than you put in. So 1 times a million is a million, and 0 times a trillion is still 0. So, for example, if I go into the recording booth, there's just me, myself, and my imagination. There is no one there. And if I don't find that energy and that passion and that joy, and I don't create a very clear impact and experience in my mind and hear it in my mind and open my mouth so that all of what I feel in my spirit comes out in my voice, you're not going to get that on the recording. So I'm very alone in that process. And I didn't like the process before because there was nobody there. There was no audience. There was no love. But I've learned how to find that in myself and to give that. And then there's a club event where people have come for the music. They are there to receive the music, and it's quiet and people are focused and they're taking it in. They are lovers of music and it's very intimate. Or it is a rowdy dive bar and they have come to have a good time. And before I got on stage, they were already on their 4th, 5th drink, and it is on for the moment I get up. It's not a music club, but it is that night. And then there are the galas, and it is a corporate event, and there are business partners, and everyone is ever so polite and everyone is ever so proper. And I'm grateful for the work. They are a very different range of experience, but it's all starting from what I want to give. And then after the club event where the foreigners are going crazy, but the local crowd might be culturally very different, so they don't say very much. But afterwards, they come up and they're very expressive. I've learned not to judge what people receive based on their external behavior, but what they share with me afterwards. And so for me, it's like mirrors. I am very blessed that when I perform, I give out, but I also, if I'm performing for people and I'm not recording, I also get back. So I'm one giving out to 200, but I'm also getting back from 200. So it's a virtuous cycle where it's like that hall of mirrors and it just goes on for infinity. So when I get off stage, I'm very full and I'm very excited, and then I sleep very hard.
That is very important, though. It's very important.
Because I've really given out. And then I need to stock up again.
Refuel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned all the different types of events and that, but there was also one which maybe was a bit different one, which was TEDx Unyp.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
how was that experience? Because with all these singing, but also giving a speech.
You know, I'm so grateful to Mark Anderson and Robin Nguyen and the whole TEDx Unyp team that worked with me. And then Amit also coached me and worked with me. Mark told me years ago he wanted me to perform, and because of all the things that happened to postpone, I got the chance September 2021, and he asked me to sing, but he said I could also speak as well. He said, what do you want to do? And so I knew I was there as the entertainment portion, but I'm also an educator. I'm also a teacher, a trainer, a coach. And TED is about an idea worth sharing. And I always, as a communicator, have in my mind, if I never had this chance again, what must I do? And I told him something that gives my life purpose and meaning is I will not die with my song unsung. I will not die with my song unsung. So what is the song I need to sing for TEDx Unip? What's that one idea we're sharing that I must share? And if I never did a TEDx again, what did I have to say? And it really was a challenge to figure out of all my life experience, what did I need to share? But that was so special because it was the first time in my life where I sang, taught, and incorporated all the skills that I have, that I've gained from singing, songwriting, coaching, and teaching. If I have 18 minutes and I know how to teach, I was very intimidated by the process. I said, I've never given a TEDx event before, and I was under the covers for quite some time. But then I got under the covers, I'm like, but I do know how to teach. I don't know how to give a TED Talk, but I do know how to teach. That's one thing I know how to do. It's like, well, if I had 18 minutes to teach something, how would I do it? And then I threw back the covers, and then I knew what to do. And so I'm not sure if that answered your question.
No, I was just asking how did that feel, and you're.
But so it felt like something that made me a better person because I had to learn how to integrate. When I'm at Unyp, I teach. When I'm at Unyp, sometimes I coach. When I'm in a corporation, I train. When I sing, I sing. But I've never done all of them together. And certainly it wasn't corporate training. But the skills that I use through teaching and songwriting and some elements of coaching were in that. And it was a pleasure to bring my integrated self. It was humbling, but it was also quite empowering.
Well, I listened to I was there at TEDx Unip too. It was a great experience, great event.
Great.
It was a big crowd. I don't know how many
500,
people.
500, we sold out, yeah.
But you can also, everybody can watch your talk on YouTube. It's available. Right. I think it's called like Chorus of Your Life.
Crafting the chorus of your life.
Crafting the course of your life. Mm-hmm. And I have watched it a couple of days ago, and I made a point which I really liked. You mentioned the quote of Pablo Picasso.
Yeah.
It was and I hope I wrote it correctly. The meaning of life is to find your gift, but the purpose of your life is to give it away.
Yes.
Now, you said, I don't know what your gift is, but my question is, do you know what your gift is?
My gift is connecting people, ideas, and results. That's my thing. That's what I chose for myself because I was like, I like connecting, I like ideas, and I like results. And I give those things to people so that they have better results. And I was doing corporate training. And then my colleague, the managing director of the company for whom I do corporate training, we did the debrief as we normally would. And he said, Juwana, the way you connected what they said at the beginning of the training to the middle of the training to the end of the training, that's amazing. I don't know how you do that. I've never seen anybody. And I said, it was one of those things. It's so normal for me. I didn't know that was a special thing. And that's that whole thing that I want people to get, that there's something that you do that you take for granted, that's natural for you, that is a gift and a talent that has a major impact on people, and you don't even realize it. And finding that gift and giving that to people is what I agree that life is about. That gives life meaning and purpose and joy and fulfillment that no one can ever... the impact is priceless.
Do you think that people will know when they found the gift?
They know.
It's interesting. I always say that, like somebody says, like, I'm useless. And I say, everybody has a purpose. There's a space for you in the world which you'll probably be the best, or you'll be very beneficial for others. I think the space in the world is not for us to be egoistic. It's more to work in the community and work with others. And I think maybe studies are a part of the journey of finding the gift. And it might not be, and that's what I always try to emphasize, that when I talk to somebody, even friends that said that they're not happy with their education, it doesn't really matter what your education is. It's just the part of the journey you're taking. And if it takes you a direction that you like, it doesn't matter what education you have. At the end of the day, it's learning a specific thing. It's not only about it, it's about the other things connected to it too. And I don't know, I'm very interested where my life will lead me, but I'm prepared for the ride, I'm excited. But I wanted to mention one last thing about your music career, a special one which one of my friends noticed me about. I didn't know that. It's that you were at least in a part of a movie in which we can watch on Netflix. In English, it's The Devil's Mistress, or in Czech, Lida Barova. It's about an actress in 1930s which fell in love with Mr. Goebbels. Am I correct, right? And you were there in the part as a singer. Now, I wanted to ask, it was like, I don't know, maybe like a 10-second scene, 15 seconds maybe. But you were even mentioned in the movie. They talked about you. How did that happen, that you actually managed to get into a movie we can all watch on Netflix, a movie that's highly respected in Czech Republic too? How did that come about?
I did my degree in journalism, but I loved theater. So to be practical, I did my minor in theater along with my other loves, women's studies, theater, and women's studies and French. So my major was journalism, but I minored in women's studies, and I minored in theater, and I minored in French. I didn't let my education get in the way of my love for a topic. So I acted in high school, in university. Even when I was in Korea, I did community theater there. I did television there. When I arrived here to the Czech Republic, that was 1st of September 1998. By my birthday, September 26th, I was already cast in a play, and I was rehearsing more hours than I was teaching at the language school where I started. So I just picked up with my love of theater from the moment I got here. It turns out that the person who was in the play with me was turned into a casting director later in her career. So I was being invited to casting calls and getting cast in commercials since I've been here, as well as it was German TV. I don't remember being on Czech TV. I've done Czech films and American films during the time that I've been here. So it was just very normal for me. Oh, are you available? Would you please go for this casting call? Oh, I got it. That's nice. Friends of mine have sent me screenshots of Juwana, I saw you on TV. You're like, yeah, I did that. It's another part of the work that I do. And so I got a call from the music director. Somebody in the production team of Lida Barova said, we want you to perform this role. I said yes. I shot the scene. And then, as every other performance, I just moved on and went back to my life. I'm very happy that Lida Barova did as well as it did. Outstanding performances, certainly by the leading lady. And I think that scene that I'm in, where I'm singing in a Jewish-owned nightclub where Lida is enjoying a lovely dinner out, and then the Nazis come in and they throw me and the Jewish owner out on the streets, and so you've got echoes of Cabaret with the movie with Liza Minnelli. So that's how that happened.
Now, I already tried to at least to see how movies work. I did some how'd you call it when you just play somewhere in the background?
Yeah, you were an extra.
I just tried it.
Yeah.
And what surprised me about movies, it's that it takes way longer than you think. And that short scene in a restaurant or bar, how long did that take? Because it's not the longest scene.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter how long it takes. They take your time for a 12-hour period. It is, we will pick you up at 5 a.m. We will take you to the place where there is hair and makeup. and you will wait until it's your time for hair and makeup. And then once you're done, you will continue waiting until the director wants you on set. And once you're on set, you will then continue waiting. And it's very funny because I had to lip sync for that. And I I did it. I lip synced. And, I practiced lip syncing. And then he's like, okay, done. And I'm like, whoa, there's only one take. Nope. Because we were shooting at night. He's like, the sun is coming up. We gotta move on because I have to be thrown out into the street in the middle of the night and the sun is coming up. So one take done. Come on, move. So yeah. And yeah.
But it takes a lot of the time. That's
like I said, 12 hours at least. Yeah.
But then it's something that sticks there, for a long time. It's worth it usually. I want to move to a last thing. It's before I do like a quick section in the end. Is that you speak quite well Czech. Now you're here for some time already, so not all people that are in Czech Republic for a long time learn Czech, but you did, and you can watch some of the interviews you have on YouTube, even on the show Jana Krause, and you already speak there in Czech. Now my question is for somebody who doesn't speak the language, what do you think it's the best way to approach learning Czech, but maybe even other language? And maybe what was your main struggle, especially with Czech?
Right. Well, how to approach it? You have, as Simon Sinek says, you have to start with why. So why do you want to learn the Czech language? Certainly, as you said, one thing is motivation of ego, and that's a very strong driver. But what can be stronger is connection and meaning. So my why was that I spent 4 years in Korea. A 1-year contract turned into 4 years. If I had known that I was going to be there that long, I would have tried to learn the language, but I didn't know. And so when I decided that I was going to give up my plans to travel and build a life here within just moving here in 2 months, I was like, I'm going to learn the language and I'm going to learn. And so where I was teaching the language school, as a part of the compensation package, they offered 2 classes per week for 90 minutes. So I did the lessons during the week, and then the family of the man who would become my ex-husband, they didn't speak English. So not well. So it was like, oh, I can practice on them. So I had a why. I had my own egotistical drive. And then I really wanted to connect, not just with Czechs, but to try and be a part of this Czech family, to become a daughter, actually, was what my goal was. And so my ex-husband's family, his parents were both teachers. So they had that, what I hope, is that loving patience and encouragement that teachers have. So it just inspired me. I want to connect with these people. I want to understand them, and I want to be understood by them. So to learn the Czech language, the question is, with whom does a person want to speak? Is it with the people in the shops and at the bar and on the way? Is it with a partner, the family of a partner? What's your why to make you want to continue even when it's very likely to give up? For people who come and say, hey, look, I'm going to just leave in 4 years. I don't want to be a part of this whole culture and scene. I just want to be a polite person. Then, of course, please, thank you, count the numbers, and then move on with life. So the level of skill is really determined on the level of the why and how long you want to be here and how much you want to connect with the people here. The struggle I've broken down in tears because I was misunderstood in Czech, and I was trying to do better. So it was that learning from failure. I hadn't yet gotten that lesson in life, and it was still a fixed mindset, and I was really hard on myself because I thought I connected my intelligence with my ability to master declension. And I was very fortunate that my harmonica player told me something that changed my life. He said, Juwana, people who want to understand you will. People who don't want to understand you never will. So he took that perfectionism pressure off of myself, and he made it understood there are loving, accepting people who will work with you. I did my master's in professional and business communication. Communication is shared. It's not all one person's responsibility. And my perfectionism was making it all about me being perfect, where he was saying, hey, it's a mutual process where people work together for understanding. And so that's given me the confidence to move beyond speaking with my ex-partner's family, ex-husband's family, to speaking with the people in my office when I was working in a destination management company, to our suppliers, to now I speak with my numerous people. If people are more comfortable in Czech, then I speak Czech. There are some people whom I respect now. It used to be, I took all the energy to learn this language. You were going to listen to me speak Czech. But then there are some people, I have a colleague at a company. She said, Juwana, I very rarely get a chance to speak English. Would you please help me with my English by speaking English with me? When she presented it, that I could speak English with her, and it wasn't a sign that my Czech was so bad, but I could be a good person and a good colleague by supporting her just by speaking my native language. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. We can speak English. Okay, I'm not being disrespectful by not speaking Czech with you. So I have some colleagues at the company where I speak Czech because that's where they're comfortable, and I speak English with some colleagues, and they struggle, but they welcome and embrace the struggle because it makes them better, and everybody wins.
That is amazing. I'm actually trying to learn languages eventually, but it's the decision of which language you're going to go to.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe like Portuguese or something.
Nice.
Interesting.
One of the nice things is that when you learn a language that's a part of a family, then the others open up. So for example, I learned my Italian because I studied French. I studied French in high school, and I did my minor in French in university. So when I went to Italy for 7 weeks, because of the French, Italian just picked up. And when I tour with my musicians in Italy, I still speak Italian there. I mean, it's not amazing, but I make myself understood. And I certainly lean on my musician's ear in terms of my accent. And then, of course, with the Czech, then the Slavic languages opened up to me. So, yeah.
But Czech it's a hard language. At the end of the day,
it is.
We try to be special, we try to make things that just don't make sense. I think that the tricky part for many, I talked to somebody yesterday about it, and we talked that the main struggle is sometimes that Czech names, like for example, Jan can be also said Honza, and that Josef can be Peppa. And this is just, for people, it's ridiculous to cope with. Why we have two versions of the same name?
But we have Richard and Dick as well, so it's fine.
Is that? I didn't know that.
We have that, yeah.
Well, we learn new things every day.
There you go. That's why we talk. That's why we talk.
Now I want to move to like the last section, which is like a very quick one. It's just like a quick fire questions.
All right.
It's like
lightning round.
Just a random questions. You might answer it for a longer version or a shorter, but because we're running out of time, just in a shorter way. So the first one is, what was your first ever job?
My first ever job was working in the school office of my high school. I was there over the summer, and I was working with the records.
Okay, so you're always connected with the school was just there,
Exactly. It
was meant to be.
People don't understand. I'm a big old nerd. I don't. Yeah. If you just get to the heart of it, that's basically it.
Next one is, do you like spicy food?
I love spicy food. I am the one at wherever I go. Would you bring me the Tabasco? Would you please bring me the chili? I'm the one eating the Carolina Reapers. Yeah.
I cannot do spicy.
I love spicy. Bring it on.
The next one is also related to food. Is if you could have a free meals for life at one fast food chain, which one would you choose?
Oh man, you lost me at the fast food.
You don't like fast food?
I'm a Michelin star girl over here.
Okay, look, I can change it to a restaurant,
Oh my goodness. No, fast food is actually more challenging. Burrito Loco is good fun. That's fast food. I never tried it. Oh my good. Oh, a couple of drinks late at night. Get that kick-ass XXL burrito. Yeah, that's. I got some good memories on that. Yeah.
Oh, you were more restaurant than person. It's not for you. Fast food is not for you.
No, I move around. No, it's 2:00 in the morning if I'm eating fast food. Yeah.
I think with fast foods, I still have the student attitude, which is just get something quick, the next one is, what's your favorite subject as a student?
Oh, yeah. Languages, English, French, Italian. Absolutely. Yeah.
And what about as a professor? Would you like to teach the most?
Oh, well, I love professional development. I love that one. But introduction to university, that's hard. I teach what I love that I think is useful. So it's actually more about my approach to teaching, which is critical thinking to figure out what you need to build the life that you want. So I'm about the knowledge to get the tools, to get the skills, to craft something. So Introduction University Studies, that's what I teach. What do you want from this Unyp experience? How can I prepare you for the life that you want? Get the understanding to get the life you want. And then that's first semester. Then professional development is, okay, you're about to leave Unyp. What do you want after Unyp? How do you get the perspective to get the tools, to get the skill to build the life you want? So it's just about living a life worth living. That's it.
Now, the last question, and I'll relate it to the music back because it's been a topic of this talk too. It's, of course, you sing and you sing in, as I said, blues and soul. Yeah. But what music do you listen to? The same type of music, or is there something different that you like?
Music is my drug of choice. It is my mood regulator. So I love to listen to classical music. I love to listen to symphonic orchestral music because it's not my field. It's not my genre. So I don't have that same focused relationship like I would if I were listening to a song that I could create, because I would be analyzing it, taking it apart. But with that music, with jazz, piano music, I enjoy hip hop when they're uplifting, inspirational lyrics. Then I can really get into that. So I listen to something that makes me feel good. It doesn't matter what genre it is. It's a drug in my system, and I am uplifted, and I am transported, and I'm given the power and the strength to live life according to my desires. That's the music I listen to.
I'll actually ask you one more question because I like that one. I asked it before on the first Unyp podcast.
Ooh.
But
maybe it's your signature question.
Yeah, because I like it. It's interesting, and it's interesting for me, for the others too. What is your favorite spot in Prague?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
a tough one.
That's a good one. Just one moment. Let me reflect. You really stumped me with that because now I see all these spots.
There's many, I see.
Oh, goodness. Sunset on Rigo Risati, looking at the castle. That's a classic. On a blanket with a glass of wine in the summer. Done.
Oh, yeah. Have you been, do you like Rigo Risati?
Well, it's my neighborhood, yeah. So,
it's your neighborhood. So that is the place, perfect place for it.
Yeah, exactly.
You see everything.
Exactly.
It's amazing. Yeah. Prague it's getting warmer, way warmer. I was 15 degrees today or 17 or something. So you're already starting to get the energy from the city when it gets warm. Yeah. Now it's boiling. Yeah, that's one thing. But in this sort of weather, the energy, you see the beautiful buildings being lighted up. Yeah. The mood is just different. And you go to Náměstí Míru, which I since I'm a student at UNIP, I fell in love with Náměstí Míru. The building is beautiful. So it's when sun goes down.
It's spring. The light is different. The energy is different. The colors are different. It's
the mood of the people also.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that will be all from me today. I thank you very much for this interview. It was amazing, and I will probably need some time to even process all the things that you said to me because I tried to make it as beneficial as for students as possible.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of things to take from it. Do you have maybe a final advice or remark you would tell students?
Oh yeah, I was listening to a podcast, and I know I'm misquoting it terribly, but I like what Mark Twain said, which is, Never let your education get in the way of your learning. Never let your
That's something to
education
think about.
get in the way of your learning. And UNIP is just one tool for you to learn. Don't let your UNIP experience getting in the way of your learning. The last learning outcome for my Introduction to University Studies class is to give people the skills to be a lifelong learner. That's what it's about. To have the skills to be able to craft the life that you want. And that's going to change. As soon as you build what you want, you'll realize that you can build even better. And for that reason, we must learn.
There's something to that, you know. Oh my God, these are philosophical ones.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for this interview. I hope you enjoyed it here, and maybe we'll see you again.
Well, thank you
There's
very much.
still a lot of things to talk about.
Thank you very much for the invitation, but also for your preparation to really dig into these topics and these ideas at a deeper level. As someone who did her degree in journalism, I enjoyed the experience. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, and also thank you all for listening and watching this podcast, and see you next time in another episode of the Unyp Podcast. See you. Bye.
See you.